Welcome. So, if you're tuning into this, you've literally just taken a massive step. You signed your chapter director agreement with Startup Lanes. First off, huge congratulations. Seriously, you are now officially the leader of a brand new local business community. But, looking at all that paperwork, you might be sitting there thinking, okay, what on earth do I actually do next? Well, you're in the right place. In this explainer, we're going to serve as your ultimate chronological roadmap. We're taking that dense 50-step post-signing process from your handbook and transforming it into an inspiring, totally easy-to-follow playbook. Here's exactly how we're going to break this down. First, you signed, now what? Then, stage 1, initiating the network. Stage 2, building the chapter. Stage 3, your first coffee meetup. Stage 4, the selection board. And finally, stage 5, the official launch. Let's get right into it.
Okay, let's dive into this first part. You signed. Now what?
So, you've signed on the dotted line, right? But it's absolutely crucial to understand right out of the gate that your signature, well, it's really just the foundation of the house. The real work, and honestly, the real reward, starts right now. Just take a look at the leadership hierarchy here to get a sense of your responsibilities over these next 50 steps. Notice how the chapter director sits right at the very top of the local level? That's you. You aren't just some group admin. No way. You are the guardian, the energizer, and the primary growth engine of a curated, living network of the absolute best professionals in your city. Literally everything flows through you. So setting the right standard on day one, it's absolutely vital. And speaking of setting that standard, I want you to anchor all the upcoming steps we talk about to this one golden rule right out of your handbook. Quality always beats quantity in the long run. Listen, having 50 highly engaged, active members who actually trust each other, that is infinitely better than having 200 ghost members who just kind of lurk in a chat group and never do anything. Every single step we are about to go through is specifically designed to protect the quality of your room.
So to put this all into perspective, here is your overarching visual map for the journey. I want you to keep this timeline in the back of your mind as our mental anchor. We're going to move sequentially through these 5 phases, taking you from a purely digital starting point all the way to a massive in-person launch event. All right, let's hit the first phase.
Stage 1, initiating the network. Okay, so these next few steps are your critical first micro milestones. This is where you set up your digital presence and immediately start the vetting process. The absolute first thing you do, reach out to your Startup Lanes community manager to create a brand new city-specific WhatsApp group just for you. Once that group goes live, you drop in your personal intro. But, and here is where the leadership really kicks in, you don't just sit back and wait for people to reply with a polite little thumbs up emoji. Nope, you are required to conduct a one-on-one call with every single person in that group. And on that call, you're going to immediately activate your referral engine by asking for 5 names and numbers of people in the city who should be invited. Basically, you are filtering and sourcing from day one. Now, as those referrals naturally start pouring in, you've got to approve them. And this beautifully illustrates that quality control we were just talking about. Before anyone is allowed into your WhatsApp group, you or your associate must make a 5 to 7 minute approval call within 24 hours. The handbook is super clear about this. This is not some rigid, bureaucratic interview. It's really just a warm, friendly welcome call. But make no mistake, it serves as a massive quality filter. You're just making sure the applicant is physically in your city, communicates well, and brings actual tangible value. Moving right along to stage 2, building the chapter. So, once your initial network is humming along digitally, we shift the energy over to administration. This marks the official birth of your chapter's identity. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how these seemingly small administrative setup steps officially legitimize your leadership status online. Your community manager activates your personal CD dashboard. You secure your official Startup Lanes email ID. You get access to download your official visiting cards. And finally, the whole shebang comes together when your profile is officially mapped to the new chapter page online, proudly displaying your photo and name as the chapter director. Just like that, you are officially in business. Which brings us to stage 3, your first coffee meetup. All right, with the digital foundation laid and your leadership totally legitimized, it's time to take things out of the group chat and into the real physical world. And this number right here, it is incredibly important. 3. That's it. You don't need a massive crowd to start meeting. Your very first coffee meetup, which you'll typically organize at a central, easily accessible cafe, only requires a bare minimum of 3 members, and yes, that includes yourself. That literally means you just need to convince 2 people to show up. You'll just keep repeating this casual, small-scale format every single week until your group hits 25 members. But listen, casual does not mean disorganized. Even if you're just sitting in a cafe, you follow this rigid, time-bound Saturday agenda. Arrivals are at 11 a.m., speed introductions hit at 11:15, there's dedicated time for referrals at 1 p.m., and you wrap with a gratitude round at 1:30 p.m. Why does this matter so much? Well, this strict structure is exactly what prevents your meetup from devolving into just a weekend social club. It trains your members right from the start that they are there to do real business.
Stage 4, the selection board.
Okay, so as you cross that magical threshold of 25 members, it signals a massive shift in momentum. Honestly, you can no longer run this entire thing by yourself. At this stage, you absolutely must appoint a formal leadership structure from within your growing member base. You're going to select 5 very specific board roles: a treasurer to handle the event finances, a social media director to build up that online hype, an operations director to manage the systems, a communications director to handle outreach, and a training director to manage member education. Oh, and alongside this board, you'll also officially appoint an associate chapter director, basically your right-hand person and succession plan rolled into one. Now, you might be wondering, what is this board actually doing? Well, they are helping you enforce the absolute core philosophy of Startup Lane's referral-first leadership. As a new CD, your ultimate goal is to make sure your chapter functions as a true business-generating engine. Your board is there to ensure that members are actually prioritizing the exchange of warm, qualified business leads, rather than just mindlessly pitching to the room.
And finally, Stage 5, the official launch.
All right, with a strong board in place and a solid culture of referrals established, you are ready to build up the energy for the grand finale. We are moving out of the cafes and into the big leagues. The mechanics of pre-launch are actually very specific. First, you move your meetings to a central co-working space, making sure the cost stays strictly under 500 rupees a head so it remains accessible. Second, this is when you formally convert your selection board and associate director into the very first official paid members. And third, your new social media director creates all the dedicated Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram pages for your specific chapter. These steps are what build the critical mass required for your launch. Now, this build-up creates a massive, massive competitive advantage. Once you start taking on paid memberships, the absolute strictest rule of the entire charter activates: category exclusivity, meaning you can only have one member per professional classification. One architect, one corporate lawyer, one interior designer, that's it. By completely preventing internal competition, you basically guarantee that all referrals for specific industry flow to just one single person. It literally transforms your chapter into a dedicated, non-competing sales force for every single member. It's a real game changer. And all of these 50 steps, they culminate right here, the official launch event. And guys, this isn't some small gathering. This is a highly publicized event managed directly by the Startup Lane's central team. It's usually held in a nice hotel or auditorium with 100 to 150 members and visitors in attendance. This is the exact, thrilling moment your chapter is formally introduced to your city's business ecosystem. Which really brings us to the ultimate question. The playbook is rigorous, for sure. The 50 steps absolutely demand consistency, and building a high-performance business generation engine is no small feat. But man, the reward is unparalleled. By following the structured process, you aren't just hosting a couple of meetings, you're building a thriving, living business community. So, are you ready to embrace the journey and become the most influential super connector in your city? The blueprint is right here in your hands. Now it's time to get to work.